Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Okay, everybody, Laura Marie is back for another episode. If you haven't listened to episode 6 yet, that's okay. You don't need to listen to that one to get into this episode, but you will want to go back and listen for sure, like after this one. If you haven't listened yet, let me just tell you or remind you a little bit about Laura Marie. She is an evidential medium. She's been connecting with spirit from a very young age. She likes to focus on evidence from your loved ones that helps you show you that life continues on. Through her connections, she's found clarity and peace in her own life, and she's helped a lot of other people. Okay, so she believes that we all have intuitive abilities, and she helps guide those who want to learn more about tapping into their own intuition and connecting on a deeper level with spiritualism, which is what today's episode is about. Today, Laura teaches us all kinds of different tools and tricks that we can use to start tapping into our intuition and then trusting what we're feeling. We talk about everything from crystals and pulling cards, automatic writing, to using a pendulum, which I love. And I kind of share a fun story about how the pendulums helped me. And then we talked about receiving signs, and we both share stories about a couple of the biggest signs that we've received. And then we talk about grounding and just all kinds of helpful information in this one. So let's jump in. Let's get right to it, and let's hear everything that Laura has to teach us. All right, everybody. I promised Laura was coming back, and she's back. Laura Marie, our favorite little medium. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is intuition and tapping into it, because it's a really good starting point for everybody who's just starting on their journey. And I think a lot of people, because for me, I'd heard the word intuition, and to me, all it meant was my gut. What do you feel in your gut? Does it feel good or bad? That's that was my entire understanding. I got to be honest. When I signed up for Laura's intuition class, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I signed up in the summer. It wasn't till the fall. So just from summer to fall, I learned so many things before I got to the class, because I was like, okay, wait, I'm taking an intuition class. I should get to know what I'm even signed up for. Yeah. I just signed up for it, honestly, not even knowing what I was going to learn or do. It just felt like the right thing. So I signed up.
That's sometimes how it works.
I think I was the first one to sign up too.
Yeah. Oh, you were.
I'm like mailing the check. I'm getting online. I was like, no, I'm in. And so I really did it. Like, you sign up for these classes, not because you want to start doing readings like Laura. You want to start telling people, you don't have to sign up for that. You want it to be a career someday.
Yes.
For me, I signed up because I just wanted to tap into my own intuition and learn how to trust my gut and learn how to just to help in my own life and making decisions and just opening my mind.
100%.
Okay. That's all I started out doing. I wasn't planning on channeling anybody or anything.
Right. And that's fine. That's the goal set that you're for.
It's just the start of it. So Our intuition. So what do you describe our intuition as?
Intuition is something that we all have.
Okay.
So it's really the all-knowing. That's the only way I can explain it. It's certain things, we all receive it differently, but it's those certain nudges that you get. You know, if you ever wake up in the middle of the night or in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to call and check on this person. That's your intuition.
Yeah.
If you're driving your car and you're coming up to a stop sign, you're like, nope, definitely not going right. I'm going left. That is your intuition.
Just all of a sudden telling you.
It's just a certain feeling, it's a feeling that comes over that it's almost like a decision's being made for you. And then you have the decision to go with it or go against it. I don't think I've ever gone against it. I always go with it because I'm always like, if I go against it, it's going to, bring me some way.
Yes.
But it's that's just feeling that you get. A lot of times it can even be where something's going to happen. It could be good or bad, but sometimes you just have a feeling like, okay, so-and-so might, I might get a phone call that this person's passed away. I might get a phone call that someone's been in a car accident. That's intuition. It's all things that our body just kind of picks up on that we can't really explain where it comes from. It's just this overpowering feeling where I need to call this person. I need to check on this person. I need to do this. I need to make sure I turn the stove off. I need to make sure that I check into a flight, whatever it may be.
So we're all kind of
always
using our intuition. We just don't label
realize
it
we don't
that
label
way
it that way,
or
right?
whatever, but it's really everyone's doing
It's like that inner voice. You hear that voice, but you're like, that's my own voice. Or what is that coming from? That's intuition. It's
so
that
to
little
grow your intuition. The first time was right, just paying attention to it.
Paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Paying attention to it. I will say another part of intuition, there's a couple of things to grow it. Be mindful of what you're putting in your body. I really think the intuition is affected by, what we eat and what we put into our body.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes
I would
sense.
say like eating whole foods, right? Being mindful of the caffeine that you put into your body, things of that nature. Any kind of hallucinogens, anything like that can change intuition, right?
Yes.
The more clean body that you have, so like not putting pop and junk food and garbage into it, I really think opens up the intuition. Alcohol, things of that nature. Another part is meditation. Meditation is going to be one of the best things to bring that intuition in because you are calming your mind. So when we meditate, which I know you've had a podcast on talking about meditation, but there's a lot that goes into that. And I will just say it doesn't have to be you get to a certain state. It's just sitting in silence or just sitting with a moment and connecting your thoughts. It doesn't have to be quiet, but just, okay, I'm taking a moment here and just connecting in. How am I feeling? What do I feel? That is a part that grows that intuition as well. So that's a really big thing too. Another part of intuition that you can kind of, I always say have fun with, but like test yourself. And I say this, but like, if you want to be like psychic or have fun with that part of it, you'll be like, I'm going to drive down the car and I'm going to see a license plate with, this number on it, a blue car with a number 7 on it, and then be open to putting that blue car with number 7 on it. Or I'm going to go pull up to a parking lot.
Yeah.
I bet you there's going to be 7 cars there. And you know what I mean? It's challenging yourself and kind of saying, okay, I know that, premier parking, I'm going to go over there. There's going to be 7 spots there.
Okay, because you're going straight into like signs.
Signs. Yeah.
Because that's one of the things I learned in your class was that you don't just have to wait for signs. You can ask for signs.
You can ask for signs. Yes.
And sometimes we don't realize that.
We don't realize that.
And we think, I'm not getting any signs.
And you are. They're like literally throwing them at you and you're just missing them.
You can be pretty specific.
You can be very specific.
I've said in several of these podcasts, I need signs. And I ask for them because I feel like I need them. Because there's still like this certain amount of skepticism that we all kind of carry still, right? And so every once in a while, I totally need a sign.
Yeah.
And I usually get them and they don't happen right away. Sometimes it's months.
Right.
And so because with one of the one-on-one sessions during our class, so I decided to go big.
That's typically how you do it.
I don't know why, but I wasn't just looking for angel numbers, because I get a lot of like 1111, 111, a lot of 1s and 2s and 3, like all this stuff.
And they all have a meaning. Yep.
And they all have specific meanings. Okay. And I will pull a card, all this stuff. But she said, I can ask for big signs.
You can ask for a big sign. Then you had a really big sign.
I had a really big sign. It's still out in my backyard now as we speak in the river. And this is why trees are so special to me because it was I'll try and tell the story quickly.
Yeah, please do it. I think it's very important. I think it's a good one. I think it's a really good one.
Here's what
one of
happened.
the best ones I've heard.
You told me I could do signs. And so I was sitting outside. I spent a lot of time in my backyard now in my little hammock swing. So there's I live by the river. And so the river had this huge dead tree. I mean, it's dead as a doornail. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to ask Spirit to get rid of that tree. That's a big ask.
It's a huge ask.
I would like a tree plucked out of the ground and thrown in the river. Okay.
Can you do that for me?
So then I sat, and of course, it didn't happen. And finally I was watching and I realized a bunch of adorable animals were living inside it. Okay, there was woodpeckers, squirrels. I was seeing some action. So I went back into meditation. I said, cancel that. I said, okay, you guys, forget it. Like, leave it. The animals are loving it. That was greedy of me to want the dead tree. Leave it. So I let it go. Okay. So I had just decided that wasn't happening. Okay. I canceled my request. And then I think it was maybe on Lionsgate. It was one of these big days where like the moon, everything was lining up a certain way. Lionsgate, where we head into fall, I think, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I came home from Reiki that day and my daughter says, did you see the tree in the river? And I said, what tree? I was like, my tree? What? And I was like, oh no. I go out there. No, the dead tree is standing. The tree next to it that was alive. I mean, as alive as alive could be. Leaves, the works, was parallel to the river. Mm-hmm. We'd had no storms. We've had no anything. It was a beautiful sunny day. It was hovering straight, and this tree was going straight up as trees do. This tree was completely horizontal to the river, hovering above it, all alive. All of its root system, I could see it pulled up and over. I have pictures. And it's still alive. Though that thing stayed horizontal to the river, it changed. The leaves changed to fall colors. Anyway, it came down. And so I was like, like I knew it was for me. I was like, oh my gosh, you guys just picked a new tree and it's still alive and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So fast forward, this tree is down. My husband is not loving this tree in the river like that because it was starting to block things that come down the river. So he's more analytical than I am. So he's worried that this is going to cause a big dam in the river and all kinds of problems. And we have to cut this tree. And I'm saying we aren't cutting this tree. This tree is bent over for me. This is me and my angels and God. This is a thing. And it stayed alive for months. The weirdest thing I've ever seen. Straight horizontal to the river. But things are heating up with my husband and I about this. So I go back into meditation and I say, listen, guys, I got to pick my battles. And so I don't think I can die on this cross of this tree. Right? I was like, I don't know. Can you just, make this okay with me? I'm just saying tell me what to do with this tree now. And so I had talked to my husband and I was like, okay, well, if could we pull it in and can I maybe I could make a piece of furniture with it. Right? Let this tree go on in my life. And so I'm working up some ideas in my head. I'm going to make a table. I don't know. I had big plans. But I was in prayer saying, what do I do with this tree? Can you guys just help me out? I'm picking my battles and I don't know that this is one. I'm not going to call a divorce lawyer over a tree. I'm not. So it was another big day. And I'll have to remember what day it was, but it was another where everything was lining up, full moony kind of whatever day. And I had been actively asking my angels and God, just help me out. What do I do with this darn tree? I love that you guys gave me this symbol, blah, blah, blah. And then it came to me and they said, you don't need that tree. You have the tree on your hand. And I looked down, I remembered that for Christmas, my husband and I went ring shopping. And this ring I have are branches wrapped around my finger with 8 leaves. Well, come to find out, 8 leaves has even a lot of meaning. Okay. And I got this ring not thinking this will be my tree instead of when they're a bush. So they were like, you don't even need that tree anymore. So from my upstairs, you can see out to our river. Okay. So I go upstairs and I look out. The tree's gone. Again, no storm, nothing. And I look out and the tree's gone. I was like, oh my God, thank you guys. You did it. You did it for me. I don't have to watch anyone with a chainsaw take down my tree. Yeah. And it was just gone. I thought it was gone. And so I'm telling my daughter, I'm saying oh my gosh, they did it. They got rid of the tree for me. Now come to find out, I found it again. Oh. It released because these roots were alive. So for it to be released out into the river, it would have to fully be plucked or cut or something. Right. It's not just going out in the river on its own. Well, it was disconnected. It was gone. So I thought it was just gone. Now, months later, now the river's low. I can see her. She's there on in the river, pointing down the river. She's still there. She's still there.
Yeah. She didn't go anywhere.
And I'm like, oh, she's still here. But my husband's fine with where she's at now. Because she's not straight up blocking anything. She's up by the bank, over, down. Sorry, not causing any problems.
No divorce lawyer.
No divorce lawyer getting my money this time. Or any time. But so this tree is huge for me. This tree is huge for me. Because I asked for a big old sign. It didn't happen the day after I asked for it. Right. This happened a couple months it took. You know what I mean? Before the first sign of the tree. Yes. And probably they were waiting for me to cancel on the dead one. Yeah. They wanted to go bigger.
Right.
They wanted to bend a live tree for me.
I love it.
And prove it. And I went out there that day. And when I saw it bent over that day, I could feel my eyes well up. The emotions, I knew it was for me.
Yep.
I was like, I see you guys. This was for me. And I know it.
I love it. And I will tell you, I think stories are the best way to share intuition. So I have one that's a little bit more heartfelt, not more heartfelt. It's a little bit more emotional.
Yes.
But when I was pregnant with my daughter, Claire, I named her after the Claires. Yes. We had found out we were getting, we got pregnant. It was a very big surprise. We were done having children because my first one was so hard. So it was a big surprise. I went around and around with it. And lo and behold, soon on into my pregnancy, I kept having a premonition that either I was going to flatline when I gave birth or that my daughter was not going to make it. She was going to be a stillborn, which is a really hard,
God.
I'm like, right intuition. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, you can't change it. You cannot change what's going to happen. All you can do is embrace it. I couldn't really tell my mom or tell my husband because that would freak them out.
No, but that's a horrible thing to have to live with through a pregnancy.
So I'm like, we're just going to go do everything. We're going to go do our will. We're going to go do our, we went and took action. Luckily, I was pregnant. I can blame that on my hormones, but like, we're going to do all the things.
We're getting it all done.
So when everything happens, it'll be something easier on my family. My husband's like, okay, you're just going through hormonal stuff. I'm like, that's exactly it. Anyways, lo and behold, I had a very hard pregnancy at the end. Like my blood pressure was all weird. My sugar levels were weird. Like you name it, I had it going on with me. So finally I was in for my last appointment because I was doing all the scans every week. And my doctor comes in and she's like, I think we need to take the baby because at this point your body's rejecting the child. So it's a month early. I think we're going to do like a gentle C-section. Gentle. It's not emergency, but let's go in a month early, take her. She's like, I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I just think at this point, your body, if we keep going, I kind of felt her quit moving, just a lot of things were going on.
There were signs that she needed to come out.
So they did a scan on her and she was like 4 pounds. 7 ounces, something very, very small. So that was like a week prior. She's like, we've given her a week to go. That's another couple ounces.
Her little lungs will get stronger.
They gave me the shots for her lungs. She's like, we're going to keep her in the best we can for a little bit longer just to get her to that 8-month mark. She's like, 8 months we'll pull her. So sure enough, I, went in for that final appointment. She's like, okay, we're going to take her out. I think it's just best. So anyways, we go to take her out. Everything's fine. God, everything was there. I remember her coming out and me being like, is she crying? And my husband's like, she's screaming, but I couldn't hear because like I had fluid in my ears. Like I was really, really sick. So anyways, they put her on the scale and she goes, how big is she? I know she was thinking by this point, I mean, it'd been a couple weeks since she did the initial scan. She's like, I think she'll be grown a little bit. She was thinking like maybe 6-7 pounds. The baby was the same exact weight she was in the first scan. So she was a 4 pounds, 7 ounces. And my husband says 4 pounds, 7 ounces. She's like, wait, what? And like looks over and she's like, I can't believe this, right? Like she's such this little peanut. Right. Healthy as a horse, everything's great. So anyways, the day goes on, she comes and checks on me the next day and she's like, I'm like, I think you saved our life. And she's like, well, what do you, of course, I'm just so happy that we got her. Everything's great. Like God's wonderful. And I said, yeah, but I said, I kept having a premonition that she was going to be a stillborn or that I was going to flatline on the table. Yeah. But I said, that would have been if we kept her in my stomach till October, whatever day she was supposed to come. It was November 17th. So we pulled her on October 17th. Yeah. So I was like, I really think you saved her. And I said, she was the same weight she was 3 weeks prior when you did the scan. And she's like, wait, what? And she like runs out of the room and goes in like, just to check what I was saying. She's like, you're 100% correct. And granted, those scans can be off a little bit, but she had not grown. She's like, that's why we weren't feeling her move, all these things. So she's like, we are very blessed that, I think we took her and I think we definitely made there was a good call on that. So I would say that was intuition that was there. But if we would have prolonged it and kept her going as we were supposed to, that might have come true. There was an intuition in me that the child would have not have made it.
Like if you would have said, no, I think I can go full term.
We'll go full term. She probably, and they ended up
could have happened.
And sure enough, like I was a very sick, like I said, very sick mom, but they ended up doing a whole biopsy on like my placenta and stuff. Yeah. And sure enough, like my placenta, when they took it, only like 25% of it was left living. Like my body. She was starving of oxygen. Yes. Like, so there's all these things. So it's just little things like that. Like it's not always, it's things like I knew something was going to happen. I didn't care. I just had to fix what I could. Right. So it's the tree. It's little things like that where you just have these over-knowing feelings of something and you have to follow a gut on it. It's not always a positive thing, but normally it is. Hopefully it's not the thing that I had. Right. But it can be all things of that where you just know something's going to happen. You're going to get a call and someone's going to, take their last breath, or that it's going to be a promotion. Your husband's going to call you and there's something great at work going on. There's all things that intuition comes into. So it's just something we have to learn to listen to it. That's what happens as we get more and more. And today we're very busy. We have to slow our minds down. We have to slow our minds down and hear those messages or listen to our dreams that are coming to us. Listen to the little signs that are being sent our way. But a lot of times we don't let ourselves get in that state of allowing it to come in. We're constantly busy. Well, busy,
sometimes don't you think if you're at the beginning of your journey and you're considering like tapping into your intuition and all that, sometimes that'll be when you'll get those little signs. Like you'll see a lot of angel numbers. Yes. You'll see license plates that have the same number, the time on the clock. Yes. And that, I feel like that's just like, those are just little signs they're giving us. Always. Like, we're here. We're here. Do you want to talk?
And those signs have always been there. It's just we sometimes are so busy we don't pay attention to them, or we're just not in that mindset, or we don't want to believe it, or we're skeptic to it, right? Like
exactly.
There's so I always say, like when my dad passed away, I'm like, oh, I always thought of him with a certain song, right? Like that was kind of my thing. And I would always say, like, give me the song. I would wait for it. So I always wanted to put it out there, and it took him years. I'm like, okay, this is not working. There's something more here. Sure enough, once I like stopped looking for that sign, and then it comes. That's how it works. So like now his song will come on the radio, and I mean, it's like where it's on every radio station. Like that doesn't exist, right? Like they're not going to play Freebird on B96, but that will happen. I'll literally go through all the satellite stations and it'll all be Freebird. I'm like, okay, that's my sign. I
have to say with my dad, there's one song and I played it at his funeral, and it will just pop on in my playlist. If I just do a shuffle, it'll pop on. Yep. It'll come on the radio. It even came on when I was at yoga. Oh, and it was not a song you would have necessarily thought would have been in a playlist for yoga. Yep. And there it was. And so, then there are signs there that you just know.
Yep.
And you're not making it up.
You're
If
not
people think
making
they're
it up.
making, that's the hard part too. Like imposter syndrome. Do I just have a cool mind and I'm really creative?
Yeah.
You have to not second guess and be like, no, like I was supposed to.
And your
see
mind
that,
wants to
say
do that. Your mind wants you to, you know what I mean? It's our ego. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, that's not what happened. That's just that's why this happened, or that's why that was done.
You can explain it away if you want
can explain
to.
it away. That's what, it's the same
Sure
thing
we
with
can. Yeah.
what we talked about previously in our last episode with reading. Like you can always try to explain the evidence. It's what you have to believe and trust and know that
Right.
there's just no way
This
there.
was meant for you.
This was meant for you.
This was meant for you. Okay. So we're just starting our journey with our intuition. And so we're starting to see the signs and we're starting to we start our meditation practice because like you said, that's important. That's one of the best ways to get quiet.
Yep. If there's anything you can do, I would say give yourself a couple moments a day to meditate. That's really the best way to kickstart your whole journey.
Kickstart the whole journey.
Give time to yourself. And meditation can be among many things, which I'm sure we covered on that episode. But, walking, going for a walk in nature.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean,
listening to music.
It can be laying down.
Ways.
There's so many different ways to meditate, but just giving time to yourself, like refilling your cup and just having a moment of pausing and that time to really reflect and let that information come in.
Okay. We've got all that started. So there are other tools and techniques and you won't connect with every single one of them, but it's fun to just start trying some of them and seeing which ones are for you.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to throw some at you and you can give me your thoughts on each one. Okay. So just pulling cards. So there are different cards because I don't understand tarot at all, but I've never taken a class or anything on it.
You and me both. I don't understand.
So there's cups and coins. There's a lot to learn. But you could get a reading like that or you could start learning that. But I feel drawn towards angel cards and oracle cards.
Yes.
Right? So I have a deck that's like rose themed. That's my favorite deck. Okay. So tell us about that because you don't have to be an expert at it to pull a card for yourself.
You don't. So what I tell people is, I don't think people put so much mind work into stuff, and it doesn't have to be mind work, right? I tell you, if you're into pulling a card, go find a deck that calls to you. Go walk into a bookstore, walk into a crystal store, whatever it is, find the deck that you're feeling called to and pull it out and grab it and purchase it. With a card deck, what it is that there's nothing that is on those cards that's telling you anything really that is, again, it's mind blowing, right? You're gonna set an intention with your deck. You're going to set an intention as you shuffle through cards. Yep. And then you're going to ask a question just like, hey, where do I need some general guidance? What do I need with my relationship? Is there something I can do better with my children? Is there something going on with my health?
What do I need to do today?
What do I need to do today? Where's my career? Right? Be specific. Like, I wouldn't say ask and open it. Like, what do I need to do with my life? And then try to pull a card. That's really, there's a lot of things you need to do with your life. So I would say try to hone in.
List.
A long list, right? But try to hone in. The more specific you are to your intention that you set with that card deck, the more specific the meaning's going to mean to you. Yes. So I would say, shuffle through, set that intention, and then pull the card. And when you pull the card, I think the biggest thing I tell people, even I tell this in the class, but cover up the message. Just don't hone in on the message. What does that card make you feel?
What
are
the
you
picture
seeing
on it?
Yeah.
See.
What is it feeling? What does it feel to you? Kind of dig all that and get those feelings out and see what's really there, and then read the message that goes with it. That is my guidance.
I still love the book that comes with it sometimes. Because I'm like, I just want to read this beautiful thing about the card and then see how I feel.
And that's a great starting point. That's what I do. If you're starting your journey, grab the book out, grab the little card Bible out, and then read what the card's about. And it's going to be like, okay, that makes sense. Because they put it in really good wording. And they kind of give a little insight where it helps you deep dive.
And then you can look back at the picture and be like, oh, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yes. And I always say when you get a card deck, work with it for about, people cringe when I say this, right? I used to have, 5-6 decks. I'm like, I always was drawn to one deck. Yeah. I loved one deck. And then when you got that Rose Oracle deck, I actually fell in love with it after playing with it in class.
I have a lot of cards too, but I always really love that one.
Rebecca Campbell's my person now, cards, because obviously Doreen Virtue's not doing it anymore. Yes. She was my first Oracle Angel card. So Rebecca Campbell, but I have the deck. I say work with it for 6 months to a year because you really have to learn how to work with those cards and what the meanings mean. As you pull them, you're going to be like, okay, this is what this is, right? You're going to learn to be comfortable with it because it's a little bit challenging as you're working through and trying to figure out what those meanings are for you. So that is a card deck. They're really beautiful and a great tool, and anyone can use them. Anyone. And I've never taken a class on tarot, but what I will tell you is that it's very similar. It's 52 cards, right? It's basically a deck of cards. Yes. There's different suits that go with it, number alignment. That's kind of how that all works. So they all kind of fall. If you do research on it, they're all very similar. It's just different on the basis. Like angel and oracle cards are more connected to source, God, light. That way where tarot is more straightforward. I mean, it's black, white, I don't know if it's black and white, but it's more of that, suit, driven by number, driven by the cups, so there's just different, I guess, assignments with each one of them.
The tarot decks seem more complicated to me. So for everybody who just wants to start with a deck, I mean, I got mine at Barnes and Noble.
Right.
I just walked up And I literally just looked at them all, and whatever one like jumped out at me that I was like, ooh,
Right.
that's pretty. I like that.
Yeah.
That's the one I got.
That's great.
And it worked out perfect.
Yeah. So you're just going to find your deck.
So we just find your deck if you want to mess with some cards.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
Easy enough.
And then pendulum.
Yeah.
Pendulum work. I love my pendulum.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll use pendulum with the cards, and I'll put 3 cards face down.
Yeah.
And I'll use the pendulum to tell me which one I was meant for me.
Perfect.
Because like I always set the intention of like back and forth is no. A circle means yes.
Oh, perfect. And so everyone works their pendulum differently. What I always say is when I do it, I ask the pendulum what is a yes and what is no every single time I use it.
Okay. I just tell mine.
Yeah. So if you want to be bossy, tell it. If you want to ask it right, it's going to let you know. So but if that's how you work, it's your energy that you're working with yourself. I've been doing it
for so long now. Like I just know that they know.
So start again. You go find a pendulum. You can find them in crystal stores, online, wherever you want to.
You can just use a necklace.
You can use a necklace. You can use a ring and a piece of hair.
Yeah. That's because there's nothing actually connected to the pendulum.
Correct. It's energy.
It's just a tool that your energy is flowing through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like I would be like, its energy flows through you. It's the same thing. You're just, it's transferring from you.
Yeah. Nobody has cast a spell on these pendulums in the store. In fact, I have this little guy hanging here. It's just a necklace, but I use it all the time. Yeah. It's a necklace that has a crystal on it.
It just has to have weight. Like it has to have weight at one end of it.
Yeah. Because if it's just string with nothing weighting it, you're not getting circles or straights or anything.
So grab whatever you wish. It's got weight on one end. And then you can either tell your pendulum, I want it to be whichever way. If you're starting out, I would say ask it. Show me yes. Stop it.
Yeah.
Show me no. And then and then ask your question. So you would just say, which card should I, let's say you lay out 3 cards, past, present, future, or 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C.
And I'll hover it over each card.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So you know that.
And I wait for which, and it only circles for one ever. Oh, and it's always spot on.
Yeah. I love it. So there's something that's telling you about that card that's aligning, and you can even hold it above all of them and just see which way it goes to. Like if it starts going one way or goes one way.
Which card?
They also use a lot of times they use pendulums in like chakra cleansing. So I don't know if you've ever had this, but you'll go lay down and they'll check your chakras. They do this in Reiki, but they'll hold the pendulum over as well.
I do that to people for fun.
See? And you go
done it in a while, but even my husband.
Yes.
I was like, lay down. I'm going to see what's open, which chakras are open and closed. And he was like, Okay, whatever.
See, but
he let me do it.
Yeah. And I did that's my fun story with my husband, but I gave him a pen. He's like, oh, what's this? He's like, you're just swinging it one way to another. I'm like, this was years ago. I'm like, okay, hold it. And sure enough, he did. And he's like, okay, here you go. Like he could see it.
No, you can tell because if you look at my hand, I don't have the power in my hand to like make a big old circle.
Again, we're not here to fool people.
No, it's not. I'm not here to put on a show. I just love my pendulum.
Great tool. Like I said, if you like to use it starting out, some people like it if they're like indecisive, like yes, no, whatever it may be, but you can use decks of cards with it. You can use certain crystals with it. What crystal should I carry today? Right? It's a really great way.
You can ask big or little things from it, whatever.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy. It's just another great tool.
Yes, because my daughter moved. This is just an everyday application of the old pendulum. My daughter moved to Colorado. And after she got moved in, we had like 36 of the huge black construction bags full of like packaging and just all kinds of stuff. 36. It filled half her garage. Anyway. She realizes she's thrown something away she shouldn't have thrown away.
Dang it.
Okay. And I'm saying, yeah, we're not finding it. Like, you're going to have to find a way to move on. Well, no, she couldn't move on. We had to find this. Okay. So we start ripping bags open. And I'm like, because I was like, I know it's in a white garbage bag because I think I threw it away in the kitchen. But we had taken all the white garbage bags and put them in big black ones. They were gone. Anyway, so we've done about 3-4 bags. And I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing? I'm getting my pendulum. Mm-hmm. I brought that pendulum out to her garage in Colorado and I hovered that thing above every bag. Nope. It was back and forth. This one's a no. This one's a no. Finally, she circled and I was like, and of course my daughter's going, this is like ridiculous. And I was like, no, you watch. I ripped that open bag. There it was. There it was.
She a believer now?
Yeah. Well, she's kind of mind that it's like she collects crystals. She believes stuff.
In it, yeah.
And I was like, there it is. We could have just spent all day looking for this. But all I did was just ask my angel spirit to like, can you just help us out so we can accomplish more things today? Can we get over this garbage picking? So they totally helped me. Yeah.
I love it.
And I'm talking out loud like I would talk to them. Right. Because our spirit team knows us.
They do.
Okay. So if you're someone who uses humor, sarcasm, whatever, you can still use it. You don't have to change yourself.
Nope.
They totally match up. They know.
They know.
Right? They know. So you don't have to have a bunch of beautiful words in meditation or prayer or whatever. No, just say it.
Be authentic. Be yourself.
They know exactly what you mean.
They know exactly what they mean.
So when I say cancel the tree, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Cancel the tree. You don't have to be all special with beautiful words. No, just talk to them. They don't care how you're talking. No. They know you.
They get it.
They get it.
They never leave our side. They are always have our back.
Always here. And if you have a sense of humor, they'll probably play off that anyway.
They have a sense of humor. Yes.
They have a sense of humor. They're not just a bunch of statues waiting. No, they're on board with everything we're doing. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
So we can pull a card. We can get our pendulum working. There's automatic writing.
Yes. I kind of feel like my spirit scribbles are automatic writing for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
So I will just say, if you're ever meditating or you go into a meditative stance and you want a trance and you want to journal afterwards, sometimes you'll notice your writing changes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you're channeling. It could be a guide that you're channeling that. It could be an inner child that you're channeling, but you will see the writing just, alter. My spirit scribbles, it's when I close my eyes and I meditate in, and that's what I set my intention. I'd like to know, who do you have coming in? Is it a male, a female? How'd they pass away? What's a memory? That's where I start to, scribble. And you will see my handwriting is very, very, it's almost like child scratch, but I can't control it. And I love giving that because there's a lot of times there's messages in there that people are like, hey, you didn't say this in the reading, but you circled this.
You circled this word.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they'll connect the dots or look at it. Yeah. So I would say there's something there, but automatic writing is just a different form of it's almost like you're in a meditative writing stance is what I could say. You're when you're writing, it's almost like you're in a different part of your brain.
So you could always do a meditation first and then journal. Mm-hmm. Or while you're in the meditative state, I know some people put pen to paper while they're still in meditative state and they just let it make shapes
and colors or pictures. Yeah.
Colors, whatever.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
You could do that or you could do it afterwards. I've tried to do automatic writing. It doesn't hit real well for me. I try it. I do it.
Sometimes our brain, right? Sometimes it's we're supposed to be writing. It gets in the brain. When you pick up a pen and paper, you know how to write. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Your body naturally, you're going to write the same L. It's always going to be the same thing. So that's why I say it's almost, I don't even remember what I'm writing, but when you're doing it, it's definitely
like muscle memory.
It just starts to go. It just starts to go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it may look all crazy and wacky at first, but you could read back to it a month later and be like, I wrote that word a bunch. Right. Or I made that symbol or whatever.
There's something there.
So that's what you just call automatic writing.
Automatic writing.
So if you hear about automatic writing, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
And then is it psychometry where you hold something in your hand?
Yes. Okay, psychometry is so a lot of times I did this when I started out doing readings just because it was a comfort piece for me, but they'll tell you sometimes when you go in for a reading or you want something to hold an item. It doesn't have to be necessarily attached to the person you're wishing to connect with. Usually it is, though. You will usually okay, I want to talk to grandma.
Like grandma's watch.
Right. Yeah. So it's an item. A lot of times metal holds energy the most, which I never thought. I always thought wood would. So metal is one of the heaviest pieces that holds energy. So what you do is you hold an item and then you just kind of go off of that. What are you reading? What are you feeling? So one of my first readings I did for a person I knew, and she handed me this little box or whatever. So I closed my hands around it and started reading whatever I was reading. I had her grandmother come through, and after the reading, I'm like, what am I holding? What is this? She's like, oh, my grandma's ashes. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Right.
Cool.
So it's something like that. Right. So people used to bring in jewelry to me. I think for me, it was hard because my mind, I'm a person that you want to get your head out of the way. As soon as you get an item, I'm like, oh, it's a female's thing.
You want to maybe making up a story in your head that goes with it.
Right. And then it takes away from that, beautiful download. So I just say, if there's something you're feeling like someone's passed over and you want to connect with them, I'm really big with my dad's t-shirt. He had a bunch of concert shirts. I had a whole quilt made of them. And that's my, I hold on to that when I need it. It's all his shirts. It's it's all his energy. It's been washed. It's been, made into a quilt, but that is where I get that energy from. It's all of his things.
You can feel that person's energy.
Yeah. Something that's the lighter, if people were a smoker, lighters are really cool things. They use it all the time. They usually have that special lighter, a cell phone. It could be there's so many different things, but you're basically holding an item and then pulling through the messages on it.
I gotcha.
Yeah. And I always tell you, if you didn't know the person and you have something to come across it, just do I have some of my grandma's jewelry. I'll just kind of hold it sometimes and do a little meditation. Be like, what do you want to message me? But it's like a direct connection to her.
Yeah.
I'm getting right to her. So I think it's
so that's cool.
It's kind of cool.
Okay. So you can try that out too.
Yeah.
What about trying to see auras, colors?
Yeah, that's a really, it's really a special thing. Auras. I've only met one person that I know that sees them in a very unique way, different than I've ever experienced or ever had anyone. But I will say auras are something I believe it's something where you kind of close your eyes. Again, you look at a person, you close your eyes and you're like, I want to see their aura. Show me what they have. And basically when you open your eyes again, some people see something differently. You might see a beautiful pink light around them. Yeah. You might see rainbows around them, different colors that look like a rainbow series. theories. You might just feel a color. That's why I tell people, sometimes you'll just look at someone like, I feel green. Okay, what does green mean to you? Sometimes it's money, right? There could be something with financial. A lot of times people go there. Sometimes it's just heart chakra. There's something with love. There's something associated with that. Green, so I would say auras can be read differently by each person. And I would just say, again, it's honing into that intuition. What are you feeling with the person? I don't necessarily have to see something, right? There are people who actually see auras, but what are you, when you look at the person, why are you feeling that color? What is that color coming in? Or like maybe fruition? Just
the name of a color pops in your head.
Right. Yeah. Or a part of the body. Like you might be like third eye. Okay, what's going on third eye? Purple. Well, you know what I mean? There could be something like that. So I think people think that you have to see this beautiful like light around people, and some might, but other times it's just a feeling of a color.
Just a feeling.
And I would say every aura reading is different because your association with colors or feelings is very different than my association with colors or feelings. But it's a psychic way of kind of tapping into someone and reading them, just like a psychic would read.
So if I was looking at your aura, would I go by what that color means to you or to me?
To you. It's all because it's your reading. It's your download. Okay,
so it's what I think perception. Red means if I see red.
So I do this in the class too, but I have people, I teach that too, like where you just will connect with a person and you can hold hands. You can just put your hands up to each other, or you can just visually, like I always do like a light beam. Feel the energy. I say like a light beam from my heart to your heart. Let me know what they're feeling. And you just start to jot stuff down. People are like, well, this is crazy. What am I getting? But really, I just tell people, just trust what you're getting. Just trust what, you're connecting with this person. You're asking for messages. You're asking for what they need guidance on, whatever it may be. And you're basically doing a psychic reading on them through an aura, because we all have an aura. We have a beautiful aura that's around us. And there's a lot of stuff within our auras. So I go into this. There's a whole nother thing too. I think it's MFT testing they call it. It's basically about your aura that you can have tested for like allergies, if you've heard of this.
Oh, I've heard of it, but I've never had it done.
So I've done it. A lot of like natural practices will do it, but you kind of go in and like my kids both had allergies growing up, like different with, nursing and stuff. So I brought them in, and my son, sure enough, it's a chiropractic technique, but what they do is they have the doctor stand there with the items and then someone else that makes the conduit to your child. And they just touch them, like just put their hand on their shoulder. And what they do is they enter in different abnormalities. I would say like pet dander, metals, food.
And feel
in the field into your aura field. And then as soon as your body has an allergy to it, the arm falls down. It breaks that aura. It's like the energy around you is broken.
Oh.
It's really, really fascinating. So there's a lot of stuff within auras, but I'm a very big believer in that. Like that one's just something that you can't make.
So that you would cool. just need to find a natural,
a holistic doctor that does it. But
doctor.
MFT, and it's not magnetic field testing. That's not the right MFT. It's like moral. I gotta look it up. Moral-phonic something. I don't even know, but it's MFT testing, and basically it's a chiropractic technique that they can use to test your aura. So we all have an aura around us, and then when that energy field is broken, your body can identify that allergy. So it's very similar. There's color auras, but we all have this energy base around us, and we're just picking stuff up on that.
Okay, all right. So that's the auras. Auras. Okay, and then everybody associates all of this woo-woo with crystals.
I know. Yes, crystals are a big thing.
So crystals, because crystals, just like every thing on this earth, everything has its own energy, frequency, whatever.
Yes.
So same with different crystals.
Correct.
Basically, what they each just have a different energy.
Yes.
Because walking in a crystal store can be overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming.
You walk in and you go, I don't know which crystals I'm supposed to get.
You start reading meanings and you're like, I need all of them. And then, it's
you're
just
like, okay, this one's for this. I need them all.
Yep. So again, my beliefs, but I always tell you, if you want to dabble in crystals, go into a crystal store, pick out one crystal that you're aligned to. Just feel where your body goes. I wouldn't think too much of it.
Your
body
eye gets drawn to a certain one.
Yeah. You will know. It doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter the meaning per se. Just take that crystal and work with it. And I say work with it, but carry it. See what you're identifying with it. Put it next to your bedstand if you want to see if it does anything with dreaming. You have to kind of build a relationship with that crystal to see what's going on for it. There's something that your body, it's almost like when we're malnutrition and we know we need something, like your body craves carrots, right? Because you need something from the carrots. It's kind of how crystal works, in my belief, is that when you need the crystal, it will find its way to you. So go into a crystal store, but don't get caught up in like, I need 7 crystals, because now you just bought 7 crystals. They all do different things. They all have different energies, frequencies, properties.
Because they'll have little pack, and where it's a little bag that has 7, one for each chakra. Or and whatever.
If you're doing chakra work, that's a great thing to start. But I'm like, if you just walk into a crystal,
starting your crystal collection,
walk right in.
What's one good one that everybody could maybe just have?
Selenite is my absolute favorite.
So selenite cleanses.
And it's one that you don't have to clear. It's not one that you have to like worry about cleansing or clearing. It's all clearing. Like it doesn't hold on energy. It doesn't
hold the energy.
Yep. So
I put those up. I put them above my doorways sometimes.
That's good. Yeah. It's kind of like salt. Salt's another really good thing that they say, like if you want to cleanse energy.
Little energy protection.
Yeah. Selenite is something I carry it with every reading. I have it right next to me during a session or a reading. It's in my bag, or if anytime I travel. But selenite's great. The only thing they say, which I've never tested, they say don't get it wet because it will melt. which is really interesting. So
Selenite will melt?
I guess it'll melt or like kind of dissolve or something like that.
I've never tried that.
I don't want to run any of my selenite underwater, but that is a really great crystal because it's not one you have to worry about, I guess, upkeep on it, right? It's kind of
I guess if it's closer to like a salt,
then it would be.
Then I guess over time water would maybe do
I've never really looked into it. I just know selenite is one of the ones I started with that I love. And there's a couple, labradorite's really beautiful. Labradorite's the one that will have the beautiful blue flash on it.
Oh yeah.
So labradorite's really, really great. Lapis lazuli, I'm probably saying some of things wrong. I'm not a crystal expert. I just know that there's certain ones I like. There's certain ones in bracelets that I will draw. I will always wear them.
There's certain ones that are supposed to help you open your intuition.
Yes. Yep. So lapis lazuli is really, it's a blue one with like gold specks in it. It's a really pretty one. So I think I have it on my bracelet right now, but that's a really good one. I'm trying to think what else there is. Labradorite, lapis lazuli is another one. Selenite's good. Angel quartz. Angel aura quartz is a really, really nice one too. That's the one that's looks almost like a rainbow when you look at it.
Oh yeah.
So, and I would say everybody, I get caught. Those are the ones that I think are really great. But I also will say that like you'll look at tags sometimes, like, well, I picked up this red one. What's this red one mean? There's a reason. Red jasper, right? There, it can be. There can still be something with the chakra that it can help, which will also help your journey and opening up chakras, and will help you with intuition too. So there are some that they focus in on, like opens you up or opens up your heart center or your third eye, things of that nature. But they're all here to help in a certain way. So I just say, like, go find the crystals you like. Grab them, grab one or two. I would say work with a small amount, because I think what happens, people get overwhelmed. They go in there and drop, money and start bringing all these crystals open. And that's what I actually did that. I went in and I'm like, oh, I love all these, brought them in. I had them like in my like nightstand, and my husband woke up and he's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm having like really, really weird dreams. And I'm like,
because they all have energy. And that's another thing. Don't load them all up in your bedroom.
Don't do that.
You might have trouble sleeping because there's a lot of frequencies in the same room. Yes. It's going to be hard for you.
He didn't tell me for a while. Chill. So he was like having a really hard time dreaming. I didn't say anything. I just took the crystals out, and I was like, hey, how's everything going with your dream? He's like, oh, good. You must have saged. I'm like, uh-huh.
I figured it out.
Yeah, but it's sorry about that. They do that to different things. So people, I'm always like, they're like, oh, I went to a crystal shop. She had me loaded up on all these crystals. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get it. But also you have to remember each one has a modality and something that it's doing. So it can start to overwhelm you too if you have too much going on, or you're in overdrive trying to like open this one. You won't really know it's healing because you're doing all of them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you can get as complicated as you want with crystals, because there are people who tell you that you've got to, when there's a full moon, you got to get them all outside to cleanse them and charge them and all. Like, I don't.
You don't do any of that.
I can't figure all that out. I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not at a place yet where I'm tracking, like, to charge my crystals at this point.
So one of the things I do is anytime there's a full moon, I can always feel it because I see it like through I always have a skylight in my bathroom. So I can always tell when the full moon's there. Yeah. But I'll say, like, I can feel because energy needs to be done. And I usually remember, like, okay, make sure my crystals, I have them on a windowsill, like where you have here. Yeah. So like there's always sunlight coming in. So I'm like, they're always being,
they're going to get the moonlight.
They're getting the moonlight. They're getting charged. They're getting, I mean, some people set them out. They make water out of it. I mean, people go, and that's wonderful. But I also say, like, you'll know when the full moon is. I always say it's nice to if you put them in a window area where they can see sunlight, moonlight, all that's cleansing, as well as it's a good time to always go around and sage the house. Like once a month, if you can go around, do around the new moon, full moon, it's always a good time. Okay, so saging. So we've all seen like the little sage smudge stick things, and you get a little shell with it and a feather. Shell. Or you use whatever. Yeah. Okay, and so the theory behind saging is to release energy, stagnant energy that is in your home or in the space that you're in or around the person. So I would say when you sage, the biggest thing with saging is making sure something is open, a window, right? Or door. Or the energy doesn't have anywhere to go. It doesn't have anywhere to go. And it's hard because I always tell people smoke will still not kill, I don't want to say it, but smoke will still absolve and get rid of energy stagnant, but the best thing is a window for it to flow out of. In the office space I have now, there's not windows that open, right? So I have to, we sage and do them, I just set my intention, do my prayer around it, but there isn't an actual window to open to go outside. So I just make sure the door is open, and you want to just make sure the energy has somewhere to flow through. So those just trapped in that room anyway. You can sage in so many different ways. I think the biggest thing is, again, being in the best mindset and the best, I always say, like, I go around my home and just say anything that's, been brought in by my family, myself, that no longer serves a purpose. Negative. Find its way out the door. Time to go. We're good. We don't, or whatever came here and did its work and now is gone, let it be. I need extra space for other things to come in. So that's just kind of what you're doing, is you're just going through saging and just blessing your home. You're just sending in a prayer, setting an intention, and just, bringing that space back. So, and I can definitely tell a difference. I'm big in saging. You can feel, okay. I can feel it. So yes. Okay. Let's talk about, because it's very important to be centered and grounded. Yes. Okay. So what's the difference between centering and grounding? Is there a difference? Well, centering, I think, again, this is always my perception, but centering to me is just like coming back to oneself. Like, it's centering. It's really kind of honing in on like being aware of what you're going through.
So like being mindful would be kind of
that's
the
like
same
centering
thing.
is what I believe it to be. Centering. You're just really trying to align yourself, align what you're feeling, you're just honing in and you know, connecting to yourself, your one self. Grounded is a whole nother thing. And this is really cool because grounding's been a big thing for me. And recently it came back up and I think there's always a reason. So I share it. But grounding is basically connecting yourself back with the earth, the natural energy that is within our soil that we are all really kind of getting away from. Not many people these days, like you see shoes around everywhere. Like we used to be barefoot all the time. Barefoot was the way to go. I mean, India, everyone didn't wear shoes. Now we take this big rubber sole and we put it on our foot. And what does it do? It's a blocker. It blocks all the natural frequencies that are coming from Mother Earth, which is one of the best things. Imagine when you garden. I don't know if you're a gardener, but when you get your hands in the soil, you feel soil. Like it's just a different feeling. There's energy within that. Yeah. Same thing with your feet. So I will tell you that there, many years ago, I went and saw a local practitioner and got like a grounding mat because I was at work and I'm always around frequencies of computers. So I want a grounding mat underneath my keyboard. And it just felt good. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I could feel something different. Like I was reconnected. And you can hook it. You like put the mat down, and then you connect it to it's got a plug. Not that's plugged in, but there's a wire that goes with it, and then it keeps it grounded. That's basically what it is. So grounding, I will say, is one of the best techniques that you can do. And even if you're not in any spiritual, you're like, I'm just listening because I like Jen and I'm just curious about this. Take your shoes off and walk outside. 30 minutes a day is what they say is like where you can actually feel an actual difference. But they did there's a whole movie on it, which I'll give you the notes on that too. But there's a grounding movie. I think it's called The Earthing Movie. And there's a book that I read like 10 years ago. And it was funny, but I got it with this book. I read it. I thought it was very fascinating. I put on my like spiritual shelf. I have like, 10 or 15 books I really like. Never thought anything about it. And then my neighbor the other day was like, hey, Laura, I watched this movie and thought of you because you're always barefoot. Everyone laughs. Like I'm always in my, my feet are completely trashed from being outside. So she's like, I just thought of you. But she's like, my husband just thought like we took our shoes off and walked outside because she's like, we're really not into it. But like it really felt good. I'm like, I agree. So anyways, I told my husband, like, let's sit down. Netflix actually has a movie out about it. They did a movie off this book and it's quite fascinating. But they said that they've done studies now where they've done like thermal scans on bodies before grounding.
I've seen some of that. Yeah.
And then 30 minutes after grounding. And the results are phenomenal.
I went and bought, because my husband doesn't go barefoot much. Yeah. Okay. I went and bought grounding sheets.
Oh.
You put them on your bed. Okay. They feel like normal sheets. Nobody knows they're grounding sheets.
Sheets? I've not heard of that. I've heard of mats under your bed, but I didn't know they actually have sheets. So
they're grounding sheets. So it has tiny filament of copper or something in it. Okay. And then it plugs, like you just said, you plug in. So you snap it on and it plugs in just like the outlet on the wall. You guys, it's that grounding one. Yep. The 3-pronger. It's that third prong. There's no electricity coming in or out of that. That's grounding. Right. For safety. Yep. So one end of it gets plugged into there. And just so you guys know, that little bottom 3-pronger, that bottom goes all the way out through like this copper piping all the way out to the earth. It's literally out in the ground. Yep. That's how we're using our electricity safely.
Right. It's in the earth. That's what I'm saying. We ground everything. Yes. All of our wires. Yep.
So that's connected to my bed. And they did the same research where they took pictures of people sleeping while they were sleeping on regular sheets and like what their body was doing. And then they took pictures when they were on the grounding sheets. And like it lit up completely differently.
Very differently. Like and it does, when you watch this movie, like it's stuff you don't even think about. Like I've always been barefoot. Like that's just how I was raised and it's something I always did. But I've thought about like my kids have allergies or they're really getting swollen, inflammation. I'm like, let's take our shoes off and walk outside. And I can tell a difference. It's amazing, but kids need to be playing in grasses. We need to be playing in grasses. Like take your damn shoes off and just enjoy.
Be outside more, nature.
Be outside nature. It's 100%. But if you can, I know people are like 30 minutes a day, but really it's not that much. If you even just sit in a chair and you can put your feet on concrete, I mean, it's an earthing element.
You don't have to be walking around even. You could sit down with bare feet on the ground.
Yep. And that's what I do. A lot of times I meditate and I just feel the grass and just reconnect.
Like I'll just sit in my little hammock chairs with no shoes and I'll just have one foot or both feet like on the ground, just kind of chilling. Yeah.
And people are like, well, why aren't they talking about this? Because it's free. It's free.
Yeah, this is all free.
Free. So do you think, I mean, how's anyone going to make marketing? It's not money marketing.
Do all the free things.
Right. Do all the free things. Yeah. So if you can, literally, if you have no money, like I can't go and do services. I don't have, that's fine. Then take your shoes off.
Walk around barefoot.
Go walk around barefoot.
And meditate. And that's all free.
It's all free. Yeah. So that's what I said.
Like there's spend a bunch of money on a spiritual journey.
No, it doesn't have to be crazy. So just, grounding. I think grounding is one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself though, because I will tell you, people are like, well, how do you know when you're off grounded? You know when you're off grounded because you're short, like your fuse is shorter. Yep. You're really agitated about things. Everything you start with the whole like, oh my God, I'm starting this day. This is going wrong. Like as soon as you start that negative mindset or everything's kind of going against you.
Because grounding helps you just like chill.
It's like
Chill
that
out.
recenter. It's where you recenter. You go outside, you put your feet in the grass,
So
and all
if
of a
your
sudden
energy's
yourself
off today,
Yep.
if you're like, I want to kill
Doom
somebody,
gloom.
I feel like I want to punch somebody today,
Don't
or
punch
I
them.
feel
Yeah.
really especially sad,
Yeah.
or any emotion.
Yep.
Like some of that grounding might just
Yep.
get your frequency leveled out a little bit.
100%.
So you're not.
Go and do it. And you'll know it. You'll just know you're off. And if you don't, you go stay outside. You're not going to get any
Which
negative
a lot of
benefits
people feel
off it.
like that, whether they're shoes or not, just being in nature.
Right. They're called
Does that.
naturalists. Naturalists are like the way that I think you're a naturalist. We're
you can
someone that
just
we
sit
look at it like a
outside.
tree and you're like, there's something more in this world.
Yeah.
Listening to birds, right? It's harmonious. There's like a frequency with bird chirps and tree.
No, they've done research where like if you listen to birds chirp for like 60 seconds a day, like it'll rewire, it changes everything.
Yeah. And that's
Birds. Okay, so we got to be grounded.
got to be grounded.
Centered and grounded.
Yeah, not grounded by your parents, but grounded by the earth.
Yeah. This isn't a discipline thing. No. Which, the common saying is like, my family keeps me grounded.
Mm-hmm.
And that really means like down to earth.
Yep.
Like not flying high, like centered.
Yeah.
Really.
Another thing that keeps you grounded is frequencies. So if you ever know, like I said, we were talking about this earlier, but when I called my girlfriend, I need to like talk to her or whatever. I'm like, I need you to reground me. And just hearing her voice, it sounds that's so silly, but that's something I've been
Just
around for 30 years.
Through.
Sometimes we're losing that with texting. So I'm like, you guys are here. I'm anti. Like I get the texting is important, but I'm always like these phones are causing so many things. Like phone frequencies on a phone are very different. Like a vibration of a voice. When we listen to voicemails or we connect with somebody, tones, everything, we're losing a lot by typing everything out. So if you're friends with me, your phone's gonna ring because I'd rather call you to get my point across or just share whatever I have going on.
Do some
I want to hear your voice.
really long text. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I want to go back to talking.
Which is funny. We're going to have to, that corner will have to be turned again at some point because I'm guilty too. Like we don't want to answer our phone sometimes. We're like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Everyone always answers me like, is everything okay? Am I okay? I'm like, you're not going to die. You're okay. No, did you
rang my phone. Nobody rings my phone. We don't even like our doorbell on our houses to ring anymore. We don't want people coming over.
Yeah, we're all like
antisocial now. Like, no phones, no in person.
Yep.
I will text you if I need something.
Yeah, but it is grounding. So think about that. But think about what you do when you feel unsettled, who you call, right?
Because you always feel better when you talk in person with a friend.
Always.
Yeah.
And it always comes across differently. Think about like someone saying happy birthday to you on a text message. How does that make you feel? You're like,
versus someone calling and singing it to you on the phone.
Right? Like it's just it's frequency, it's vibrations. It's all a part of it. And we're getting so far away from it. That's like the biggest thing that I get with spirit. Like, what are we going to do with children? Like, what are we going to do? Because
they aren't connecting as well.
They're not outside. I mean, I'm not trying to, but really kids are more on televisions. There's always a blocker that's going between them. They're not sitting in their rooms scared.
Gaming
we speak
phones,
like, you still like sit in your room bored, or you go. I tell my kids to go think about what you're doing. Like kids don't. We don't do it anymore. It's just like, oh, here's a device. Here's this. Like
you're bored. Let me find something for you to do.
Always. The other day, my mom or somebody was like, just give them whatever. I'm like, no, let them just be bored. It's okay. Like they can just be in their thoughts. They're outside. They have a trampoline. Like they don't need constant entertainment. They're all right. So we just have to get back to that.
Because that's a generational thing. Yeah. Because I was from a generation of latchkey kids, and like. You were outside. You're going to go drink out of the hose, go ride your bike, be home when the street lights turn on.
Yeah. If you were home, you were doing chores.
My parents had no clue where we were all day. Yeah. We were like, who knows? Mm-hmm. We were out in the middle of a field getting poison ivy. We were doing we were making mud pies in the backyard or something.
And now we're becoming helicopter, like have to know where they're going. Like,
and you're like, now if a kid's bored, you're like, oh, well, let's do this. And it's like, oh my gosh, just be bored. I spent most of my childhood bored to death.
I was bored. That's where my whole journey started though. Like we had property in Southern Illinois. There was no TV. I mean, it was 53 acres in the Shawnee National Forest. Yeah. I grew up at an amphitheater. My dad had like rock concerts and stuff. And I remember going out on paddle boats. You didn't have phone service. I mean, you had to go to the top of the cave, which was a huge hike up there. I wasn't doing that. The RV had like a little TV that we got like 2579 on. So you weren't watching anything but like you want to watch what the farmers were selling their stuff for. And that was it. You just were in nature. I would go grab my little journal, my sun in. I'd spray my hair and go sit on a paddle boat and just paddle alone. Yeah. And that's where everything started coming in because my mind was able to do it. And now I look back, I'm like, I was having full blown conversations and all this stuff.
And that's when you can come up with really great ideas and figure stuff out.
Yes.
Like when it's just quiet in nature doing nothing.
Turn your phone on, do not disturb, and just sit there. You can get a lot more done.
Yeah.
Because
I hate that people expect you to respond immediately.
It's a big thing right now. Yeah.
And like, what if I don't want to?
Yeah. And that's and then you feel good.
Because it used to be I left in the morning for work.
Yep.
We only had the phone at our house. You were gone all freaking day. Nobody got a hold of you.
Right.
And then at night, eventually we had answering machines. Okay, you'd hear if somebody needed something from you.
You pick up the phone here. Oh, I had a call. Star CC7 or whatever to get the phone to ring
and you
back.
figure it out.
Yeah.
But all day you were off the grid.
Yeah. But now people message you and then I'm like, I go
like,
and
it's
apologize.
been 2 minutes and she hasn't said anything back.
She's mad at me. Oh my God. And then we start that
she hates me.
Right. And then we start down that whole thing. I'm like, this never existed before. I love leaving my phone at home. Like I tell people, literally my kids get home. I'm on my phone up until 3 o'clock.
I put my phone down a lot and it just won't be around.
Yeah.
And it drives people nuts.
You're one of the people like I text. I know you read it. It's fine. Like, but you're not respond it. Like it's okay. Like I thought you're not mad.
Or I'll look at it and it'll register the text and but then I'll go do something else. I'll be like, oh, I'll respond later. Then I forget. And somebody's probably spinning out all day. Oh, she mad at me? What's she doing? And I'm like, no, I just didn't think about it again.
A lot of times I won't respond until I go to text you back because I need to text you for something. Like I'm like, oh, I'm not going to call her. She's probably at work. So let me text her. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't respond to your last 3 messages. It's not me being disrespectful. It's not anyone being disrespectful. But sometimes we need to just like,
it's just like, no.
It's nice to just leave your phone and come back and be like, look at all the love. People love me.
And also, I don't like that's a lot of pressure we're putting on ourselves every day to stay in all these conversations all day. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I don't like doing it.
It's all affecting your intuition.
I don't like doing it.
It's all those are all
how about
blockers.
I just leave my phone in the house and go outside for a while?
Yeah.
And if there's an emergency, someone will find me.
And if you think about exactly, and if you think about how is your intuition supposed to come in? When you're sitting there, if you're scrolling, let's say you're scrolling, like you think the ad is going to come through and tell you like, right? Like think about it. Like Facebook, that's all pre stuff that's already done. You know what I mean? Like that goes off of your, that's not
I mean, I think we can get signs through technology if we ask for them.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. There's
like I'm looking at a clock, I'm seeing 11, one reminder. Right. A song comes on the radio. Like there's some things that are.
Or a memory. You might get to be like, so there is some benefits. So I don't want to cancel out all of it, but just, be mindful with it. And if you can give yourself some time each day, that's where those downloads will come in, that intuition. Yeah.
That's with the intuition. And so I want to just briefly go over, and we won't go too in depth in each one because I feel like it could be its own full show at some point, but the clairs.
There's a lot of them.
Because figuring out which clairs are our main ones.
Okay, so we'll talk about that because that
can help a little.
So I would say clairs again. This is something that I would say when you go into a meditative state or you want to like ask about your clairs, I would just say that there's different meditations you can do that will focus on them. Like it basically brings you into a meditation, and then it'll just say like, what do you smell? And some of us might be like, oh, I smell this, right? You might smell pine or cedar. Some of us
with
might
a memory,
right?
Yeah.
Because our mind is all that. That's what we hold memories. We don't really hold memories in our head. We hold smells, tastes, visuals, right? Like that's what it is. It's not really a memory that you're holding on to. It's something from that memory. A lot of times they say like smells and tastes, or like if you walk into a hospital, you know what that smells like, right?
Yes.
So your clairs, I would say you can do different meditations.
So there's 6 main clairs.
Yeah. And each one is your sense. So
like each one's a different type of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So my main one is a clear cognizance. I just receive information. I can't explain it. There's no explanation to it. I just receive downloads. I can't explain them. It's clear knowing. It just comes in my body and I spell it out. That's how I do my readings. It's clear knowing.
It's kind of like your intuition. Like it comes in your head and you know this is meant for me.
Right. And then they use little subs. So they'll like, clear sentience. That's when you smell. Like that's your nose. Like you get a smell of smoke, right? You get a smell of maybe pine, cedar, tree being cut down. Something like, a certain smell. French fries being cooked, whatever it may be.
Because you've said before, like you've been in a room with people and no one's smoking, but you can like taste the smoke in your mouth. Yes. You can smell it. You can taste the smoke.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And those are the clairs. So that each one has a sense. So I'm trying to think of all of them. I'm like schooling myself on them, but I will say, do you have them all listed?
What's that?
No? Do you have them all listed?
Yeah. No? Okay. So we got clairvoyance.
So, which is
visual,
seeing.
Yeah.
So you are literally, you see things. I don't know how to say it, but you will get certain visuals, however spirit wishes to show them to you, whether it's an apple, it's a tree, it might be like a little puppy dog, right? Like you're
so
actually
it's not necessarily that you look over and you see a dead person. No, this isn't what we're talking about.
That can happen, right?
Some people,
that happened to me as a kid, but yes.
Very clairvoyant. But for the most part, it's spirit using symbols.
Symbols. Yep. Something that you are visually, like the open sense that you have is visually seeing it.
Okay, yes.
So clear seeing. Yep.
So that's sentient. And then clear audience.
Hearing. So audio is hearing, clear hearing. So you might hear, like I did a reading recently and I heard a train. Like I could hear a loud train.
Okay.
Or, another one I was asking spirit, like, what is your sign to them? And they kept revving a motorcycle. I could hear the motorcycle. Like I just hear the motorcycle revving. So it's clear audience. You might hear a voice too. I mean, that's something I usually do not hear that. But sometimes if they did have something like where they had like a voice box or something that was with their voice, they might give me a certain sound of what their voice sounded like. So it would be clear audio. You'd actually hear what they were going, like what a voice part of them or something that was tied to them for a sound.
Okay, so you'll hear some things that no one else is hearing. Right. And it won't necessarily be someone talking to you.
Right.
Like you said, it might just be a sound that triggers a thought.
There's times where I do a reading, right? And there'll be church bells going off. And I'm like, okay, but those, right? Like church bells, it could be at 12 o'clock. Usually my readings are not, I do them on the hour, right? But it'll be church bells or a grandfather clock.
Okay.
And then I will share that. Like I'm hearing a grandfather clock. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh yeah, I had right. That makes sense to them, but it's clearly audience. Yep.
Okay. So that's what you're hearing. All right. Then did we talk about clairsentience yet?
That's taste, right? Sentience?
No, clairsentience is that clear feeling.
Oh, clear feeling. So that's what I said, claircognizance. Okay, clear feeling.
So I've got down claircognizance and clairsentience.
They're kind of interchangeable.
They're
very similar. And I really don't even know how to identify them differently. To be clairsentience, sentience. I'm trying to think why it would be different. Claircognizance is just clear knowing. Clairsentience is clear sensing. So
I printed this from our class.
Yeah, so I have it in there. Yeah.
So all right. Yeah.
They're very similar if you read them. Like they're very...
So clairsentience, it says the ability to sense and feel information, like a gut feeling or emotion.
Mm-hmm. That's
picking up the feelings of others in the room, almost like an empath, maybe.
Empath,
like
emotional.
Just feeling the vibe of the room.
Yep.
Okay. And then because you said your main was the claircognizance, you just know.
I just know.
It's just know it.
I don't know how to explain. And you just have a feeling and you just have to talk about it. So I wish there was a better way to say it. It's just clear knowing. So one is just more like emotional pickup is what I guess it's sentience. You're sensing
and then cognizance might be more like, this even says we have the knowledge about people or events that we should not normally have known about. Mm-hmm. So you just know some stuff. Like you don't know that person.
Don't know that person.
But you look at him and you're like, I feel this. Like I know something about him and I shouldn't.
Sure. And that's how it happens. Like I said, when I used to go to like bars or restaurants or something. Yeah, I would just know stuff and it gets in your head, but you're like, I don't know how I know that, but I know it.
Yes.
Okay.
And we talked about smelling already. Mm-hmm. Okay. We talked about that guy.
Yeah.
And it's what's tasting. Did we talk about tasting?
I don't think we did.
What's that called?
Claire testing me here.
Claire Gustan?
Gustan.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Claire something.
Claire Gustans. It's tasting. So that's where I think when we did, so when you do let's say you do a reading, you connect in, or you just you might get a taste. So like, let's say grandma made a really good lemon cookie and you all of a sudden can taste that cookie in your mouth.
The lemon cookie in your mouth.
My biggest taste, unfortunately, is cigarette smoke.
Okay.
I can smell or taste it, but I get it on my tongue. Also, sometimes if people like licorice, right? They might let me taste licorice. Like I love licorice, so I know what the taste is. So Spirit knows like, okay, we give a taste of licorice. And the person like, oh yeah, they love licorice.
They loved licorice.
I can just taste that taste on my taste. Or sometimes it's ice cream. It could be drinking cold milk. You'll just have a taste that comes in. It's usually, like I said, you're someone, when you go out and you observe something, how do you explain it? When you go into a room, it's like, oh, what did you think of that cake? Are you someone's like, oh, it was really, really pretty. They did a really good detail on the frosting. Or are you someone like, oh, the taste, the cake was so delicate.
Smell, whatever jumps out to you first.
Those are your heavier clairs. Those are the ones that, if you'll know.
Because we can all have all of them.
Right.
But usually we each
have 2 to 3 that are stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people who use all of them. Like I said,
and those are the ones you'd maybe try and work with more.
Right. Right. And you can always ask, like I said, like I'm always cautious. I would love to be clear seeing again because I used to see spirit.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, I don't know if it might be way much.
You hear so many all the time. Imagine if you were hearing and seeing. That might be too much.
Because you're like, can you see them? I'm like, well, sometimes it's like they're having a hard time connecting. I'm like, okay, I can see them. Here's what I'm seeing. But sometimes they want to be visualized as like how they used to look. And it can be thrown off. Like that's not always what you remember them as their last stance, if that makes sense. They might go back 20 years.
So a good way to figure out what your clairs be would like if you walk into a room. What's the first things you sense?
Yep.
Do you just feel the vibe?
Yep.
Do you smell something first?
Do you start looking at people?
Because that would be the sense that's like probably most heightened
what do you
already
think, What do you think when you walk into a room? What is your clearest? Like, what do you think your clairs are?
I can feel the vibe of the room quick. And I can feel other people's vibes quickly.
Yep.
Like if there's something weird going on in the room.
Yep.
Like I can feel it immediately.
So you're clairsentience. That's
So I can feel things really well. And sometimes I'll even like when I'm in meditation or whatever, like I'll feel things in my body too. Mm-hmm. I'll feel the tingling in very specific places. I'll hear the ringing in my ears with my heartbeat at the same time. Yep. And like those things. And then over time you start to notice them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh. And that happens every time this is going on.
Right. It's really neat. Amy just posted something on about what it means when you're like in Reiki and you feel like your belly gurgling, like it's that chakra opening up or your ears are ringing. Yeah. So there's a lot there. That's why I said, if you journal it, you'll pay attention to what it means. So it might be something like a chakra's opening up. You know what I mean? I get like a really bright white light. That's like your third eye.
Yeah.
And crown. Like that's open. It's open. So it's just really cool. But there's different things there. So I just say pay attention to it, take note of it.
Yeah.
But pay attention when you walk into a room. Like what does your body do right away? Like, do you feel like a lot of people say empaths? Like, I feel emotions, and
or where you feel it in your body too. Like, Do you get like a fluttering in your heart? Does your stomach get upset?
Right.
Does your, like, because you can start to feel in your body.
Yes.
And then you can start to notice, okay, when I feel that in my body, I know something's going on.
Something's going on.
I got to be more aware.
Right.
What's going on around me? Yeah. Because I don't really ever smell much or taste much.
No.
I feel like those are not but I feel like, yeah, it's mostly
feeling, just knowing.
It's mostly just like the feeling.
Yeah. And it's always hard it's hard to explain it, but you just feel, you just know something's going on with that. It's like untalked about conversations or untalked about topics.
Because I feel like sometimes I'll feel like what they're feeling will come towards me. Mm-hmm. Like if someone's sad, I'll feel that.
And I always say one thing you can do is like a protection prayer. Like I talk about this every day. If you wake up every morning, just say like, I ask all my angels, my guides, my white light, whatever you believe in, just wrap this beautiful white ball of light around me and just allow anything that comes into my perception to like bounce off if it's not needed. And don't let me take on what everybody else is. I want my energy to remain mine, their energy to remain there. So it will help because it's a boundary and a blocker. And sometimes I do that when I walk into a room, I just think of like a big bubble around me. Just like, okay, I'm going to be in my bubble.
Yeah, because when I started like working at opening my chakras and different things. And I didn't know that I needed to protect myself from anything. And it was just a lot all the time. Right. For a while, I went through this phase where I was like, ooh, I just feel ick all the freaking time. Yeah. And then someone suggested to me, well, are you setting a container like for all this? And I was like, what are you saying? Yeah. So no, then someone taught me. So now every day I open I visualize my chakras opening in the morning. And then I put my bubble's gold, but I put this gold spinning bubble around me. And I let everybody know. It's basically to keep out negative energy.
Yep. There's no wrong way.
I just don't want anything in my space that's not for my best, highest good and for the highest good of everybody else around me.
Right. Because even we have stuff too. You don't want to be like portraying that on other people too. We go walk around stuff too. So
I mean, and I'm going to try and keep my negative energy to myself also. So I just ask that I got enough going on in my own life. I don't need everybody else's negative energy.
No need.
I'm just going to work on my own.
And I'll say too, even if you have friends or people that when you feel like you call them, they call you on the phone or something, it's like a negative Nancy or someone's going through a lot.
Always negative.
Just be mindful of that too. Cause you're taking that in and it can start to filtrate things that you're going through. It's kind of like you're pure and your filter's pure and you're pulling in all this garbage. So sometimes not garbage, there's stuff's garbage, but it's not always beneficial to us. So just be mindful of that too. Maybe before you answer the call or, hey, if so-and-so calls today, I really need to have I can hear stuff, but I can't take it all in.
No, because we all have seen our phones ring or whatever. And it's whatever person, and you go, ugh. Mm-hmm. You know, like you like that person. Like it's not that they're your enemy or anything, but you go, oh, I don't have the energy for them today. Right? We all know that person where you're like, yeah, I got to be in the right mindset, and I can only do small doses. Yep. And you just know that
boundaries.
Person. It's just your boundary. You're like, okay, I can't do that today. I'm already under enough stress. I'm not answering that call. Nope. I can't do it.
You have that right.
Yes. Without any repercussion. We don't all need to be mad at each other for the whatever. But no, and I can feel that from people very easily. Okay. So we got to figure out the clairs. There's just a lot to figure out.
It's little feelings, little things. Like I said, it's just being aware. Awareness is one of your biggest things. Being aware, taking notice of what you have going on, and just little mindful practices that I think can help you, be the best version of yourself or how you're showing up for yourself. Like, okay, how can I give myself? How can I refill my cup? That's what I always say. Like, how am I going to give back to me? Giving yourself a moment to wake up. Yep. Wake up in the morning, start slow. If you can't give yourself an extra couple minutes, you're not rushing, right? Pay attention when you're driving. Like, I don't know, last month or something, a couple months ago, but I was driving and all of a sudden I kept saying like, do not take 57. And I'm like, really? Like 57 is an easier way to go. Right? That's the way I could go. But I'm not going to test them because if they told me then something happens, then I'm going to go that whole thing. So I'm like, they don't want me to take 57. It was a while. It took a while. Today. Yeah. It took a while. And then I'm like, okay, whatever happened. Sometimes something don't happen right away. Like I'll be like, oh, there was an accident right at the time. Something will happen.
Or you're going to get backed up in traffic and be late.
Or something. Like whatever. Who knows? A deer runs out, whatever it may be. But there's always a reason. I just say like, sometimes if we trust it. So there's a significance. And you just
go with it.
Yeah. So road trips are a big thing. Like last year we were going to Virginia, driving down the road and, everyone had to use the bathroom. I'm like, we just did this. So we pull off on the road. We get back on. We went and got Dairy Queen or something for sandwiches. It ended up taking a really long time. I was not frustrated, but I was getting flustered because I'm like, we're off time.
We got to get back on the road.
Right. So we get back on the road and all of a sudden the whole interstate shuts down. I-65. and we were probably 3 cars back, but there was motorcycles that were weaving in and out. There was a fatality, obviously. They shut the whole interstate down. No one's phone was working because everyone was on their phone trying to figure out what it was. I had to call my husband. He's like, yeah, there's an accident. Looks like I looked on the traffic reports, and I kept telling him, everyone's out of their car, standing up, trying to look at stuff. The helicopter's coming in for light flights. Like all this stuff was happening. I'm like, if we would have just been a little quicker at Dairy Queen, right?
You could have been in the accident.
Could have been the accident. There's always a reason. So when you get frustrated, even with the drivers, right? People get all mad driving. Just take a chill pill, because there's always
like this was meant to be.
It's meant to be. If their car goes in front of you slowly, you don't know what the person going on next to you is going through.
At that
person
point,
flying through.
There's nothing you can do about it anyway.
No. So just it's your mindset. Like I said, I just take it a little easier. I'm not perfect. There's days I'm like, ugh. But then other times I'm like, okay, what's that sign? What I need to slow down. Yeah. When you go to run out of the house, you're forgetting this, you're stubbing your toe, your coffee spills on your tea, and then slow down.
Slow down. Give it a minute.
Everything's gonna be okay. But
there might have been a reason for all that.
There might have been a reason. So just pay attention.
Yeah.
They're talking to you. There's stuff coming in. Even if you feel it or not, they are. Yep. They're here. You're not alone.
Yep. And like I said at the beginning, you can start tapping intuition. This doesn't mean that you're going to become a witch and start doing a bunch of woo all over the place. No, it's nice just to trust our gut.
Yeah.
That we're making the right decisions for ourselves and the people around us.
I heard a guy, we went to recently to Sedona, and the guy said, instead of woo-woo, what about wow-wow? And I'm like, I like that. Like,
wow-wow instead of woo-woo. It can be wow-wowy. Yeah.
It's wow. It's really cool. So people think we're all like, you're woo-woo. I'm like, no, I'm wow-wow. It's really cool. Like, right. When you get to hear, there's a benefit here. So just being open to it. And I think it's just neat that people are listening or trying, or we're becoming into a society, I think, that's being more, our healing community here is beautiful too. Like we have a lot of wonderful people that are really pretty
and
close.
Once you start opening up to this stuff, all of a sudden these people just start appearing.
Yeah, that's
like you would have never thought of a Reiki person and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I just learned about Reiki and now I'm meeting her. Okay, so that you got to go through your gut. Okay, I'm supposed to do Reiki or like whatever it is.
And that was Reiki to me. Like for so long, I was just like, no, I know people do it, but I don't. People are like, do you do Reiki? I'm like, no, I don't do Reiki. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like it's just energy. It's whatever. And then I finally asked my friend, I was like, what can I do to help you? Like when we do retreats and stuff, like what can I do to help you? She's like, you can get Reiki certified. I'm like, if that will help you, I'll do it. Yeah, and then when I did it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it was a piece of puzzle that just fit. Like everything I was already doing for the last 8 years of doing readings, that Reiki part that I just recently did.
Like a natural progression.
If I would have pushed it when I did all that, I would have confused it all. Because it's all similar walks of life. Yes. Different aspects of it, right? So it's energy work, but I think there's special people for each modality. And there's ways you just learn to incorporate and bring it in. I'm like, this is great. Like now I just have an added piece to my little journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
get just all the pieces, because I feel like I overwhelm myself sometimes.
That can happen.
Because I love learning new things. But if you jump into this whole spiritual world like I have, listening to the podcast, reading the books like it's a full-time job, like trying to figure it out, sometimes like that's too much in your brain too.
And I say like find a podcast. I know we get so excited, like people, I think the biggest thing people are like, what haven't I learned yet? But we can't think that way, because you're never going to learn everything. And when you start to overwhelm yourself with everyone's got different, this is my perception of things. You could talk to another medium and they think very, very differently.
Totally different.
And it's okay. That's why we're all here. We're not all the same.
I like learning everybody's opinions.
Right. All different things.
And then whichever one feels right to me,
that's what you go with.
I go with that one.
Yeah. So I was like, you're going to hear different
I still
things.
love hearing other stuff.
Right.
Even if I don't believe what they're saying one bit. Yeah. I love hearing it because it opens our minds like, we're all different.
Right. Yeah. Think about it in school too. You used to have to read a chapter, right? If you have to read 60 pages for homework, you're going to get through and read about 5 that make sense to you. If you have to read 1 page or 2 pages, you're going to take all that in. So just think of absorption too. When you start to like you said, it's worked out, but if you start to go, blah, 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 it can be a lot. So just hone in, find a topic you like, find something that we talked about.
One for a little while.
Go with that one for a little bit. And then you can add
if there's one technique we talked about today, like, ooh, the pendulum sounded cool.
Go with that.
Or the cards. Just do that. You don't have to do all these things.
I encourage you not to go buy a pendulum, go buy cards. Like, don't go do all of the things, because you're going to go to a crystal store. Like, it's going to be way too much. You're going to be like, where do I start? Just start with one topic. And then as you're meant to, it will naturally progress.
Yep. And then you'll meet another person who specializes in something else you've never heard of. Right. That's what happens to me. I'm like, what'd you just say?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Yeah. Okay, now I got to know all these things.
Right. So it's good. Good stuff.
Yes. We're going to figure it all out.
We are. We're all here to just, like I said, we're doing the work. We're asking the questions which weren't asked years ago. Sometimes people didn't even care. So
things are opening up more. People are it's not as taboo to expand your mind.
Right. Yeah. There's good stuff here. So be open to it.
I love it.
Love it too.
Okay. So that's That's a good start for intuition.
Good start. Trust it. We all have it.
Anything we talked about could be its own whole episode, honestly.
It really could.
Because there's so many intricacies to each little modality and each little thing.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
But really, if you just start with intuition, the main thing is probably to start noticing how you feel.
Notice how you feel. Listen.
And what's going on when you get that feeling.
Yep. And take notes. Journal it.
And
take
journal
notes.
it out. Yeah.
Because I think there's times that stuff comes. I have dreams all the time. Dreams are a big thing, right? You have dreams. That's intuition. Sometimes dreams have to come to us in intuition.
They might not make sense, but you could read your journal
and
a few months from now and be like, oh God, I dreamed that. And now it's happened.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always stuff here, but sometimes we wake up and we start our day and then we lose that. So just take note of it. If you notice a certain symbol, like, oh, I noticed an 1111. Who were you thinking about when you noticed that? What were you going through? What were you feeling? And then just jot it down. Be one word. But that's usually something like, okay, that was support for that. Or I know what that was. Right?
Right. And so then moving forward after that, you're like, when you see those numbers, you're going to say, okay, I'm doing the right thing.
Yep.
Like there's my sign.
Yep. I think so too.
And keep moving through.
Keep moving through. So
signs. All the signs. I love the signs.
So intuition, just hone in, listen, connect, connect. It's something we all have too. I think that people are like, oh, you're gifted. It's not. Everyone is gifted. Everyone's gifted with mediumship. You can do it. It's all
Everyone
tools.
can tap into their intuition.
Everyone can tap into intuition. Just
if you're open to it, you can do it.
You're using different parts of your brain and just kind of trusting the process. So it's there.
Yes.
It's all there. So good.
And that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to start talking to people's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
you took the class. Are you doing readings on people?
No.
But it's fun. It's fascinating, right? It's interesting.
I can't.
You don't want to do that. That's not your jam. Yeah.
You can't roll up on me and be like, can you talk to my grandpa that passed away? I cannot. I mean, I think I could.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess if that's what I focused on or felt called to, but I don't feel called to that.
No. That's great.
So we just each have to figure out.
I tell you, I've gone through okay, I'm done doing readings. I'm going to take a break. And Spirit's like, oh, the heck you are.
No, you're not.
And I'm like,
your job is not done yet.
Your job is, I'm here to do readings. So that is what I'm
doing.
I love it.
Is waiting for you to come back from maternity leave. You need to come back.
Oh, that's what happens. As soon as I'm like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. And then my inbox stops. I'm like, okay, fair enough. They listen. They are constantly.
Yeah, they know when you can handle a little bit more action and when you
cannot. You're being lazy. Keep going.
Yes. Because what we're tapping into with our intuition is our higher self. Mm-hmm. So basically just getting to know ourselves better, like our best version of ourselves better.
Yes.
But then also like our angels can come through, our spirit guides, our animal spirit guides, our ancestors that are passed over. All of it. It can all come through.
It can all come through. And I think it's just again being aware. And I said the best way to practice is just like meditation. If you do anything, meditate and put your feet in the grass.
There you go. Go sit outside barefoot and meditate.
And you don't have to get the game. It's not all quiet. It's focusing.
No, we can't quiet our minds. We've talked about that in some of our meditate, because everyone meditates that gets into a spiritual journey.
Yes.
Or if they haven't yet,
that's the part that's me.
You have to do that next.
Yeah. You have to just figure out a way to just slow down, hone in it. Meditating is honing in. It's coming back to the moment, your breath. That's why you're coming back to your breath. You're not going to
ever clear your brain of all its thoughts.
Nope. It's just like, that was a wandering
just training
thought.
it. It's a practice.
It's a training wheel.
Like yoga and all these other things.
Yes. You don't have to do them all to be a spiritualist. You can just do one thing, focus on something.
No, you don't have to get into all the woo-woo.
Right.
You just connect with what connects with you.
Right. I agree. So, good conversation.
Just a lot to wrap our brains around, isn't it?
There is. There's a lot.
I find it fun and exciting. I know it's scary for some people, and I went through that phase too. Yeah. But there's phases.
I'm happy you came through on the other side and see all the beauty in it.
It's been so good.
And I would say, like, if you're ever like nervous, like you will find your people. So like we do that. You will find your people. It says your vibe attracts your tribe. It's so cliche, but it's truly. When I opened up this door, I started seeing all these people, and
start to see more and more people.
I had no idea you were into crystals. I had no idea you were into and then you just start to find people. You will just start.
Yeah, I meet people now. I'll see people that I've known for a while.
Yeah,
but I feel like everybody kind of keeps their spiritualism closeted a bit, and you'll start I'll start talking just a little bit woo woo, just testing the waters, and they'll be like, "Wait a minute,
I got a girl. I know somebody.
You're woo woo. I'm woo woo." Yeah, but like you know what I mean? And it's like, oh.
See?
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, everyone wasn't saying it.
Right.
Yeah.
They're on their own journey. You'll learn it. So
and you'll just all of a sudden match up with people that you might be matching with now and you just don't know it yet.
You don't, and then it'll be a whole different
They're an acquaintance and they could end up being your best friend.
Yeah, very much so.
Just connect over all the things.
So yes.
I love it.
And if you're ever looking for a community, there's one thing we're starting. Tomorrow's actually our first class, which I know it'll be the third Tuesday of every month for the Connect and Reflect. So if you're looking for people who are on a spiritual journey, or you want like-minded people, that's going to be.
And do you have all that on your website?
It is on my website.
Okay.
Yep.
So all of the links will be in the show notes anyway. Yep. And so everyone can find what she's talking about, whether you're local to us or in your own area. Yep. You can totally find people.
Find circles, find developmental places, find places that are just bringing like-minded people together, and you will, it's going to be really beautiful.
Yeah. And then they'll know someone and have a suggestion, and on and on and on. And so many people are doing services remote now too.
Yes.
So if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're like, I have no one who connects to spirit to talk to me, like you can do remote, because she explained that it's just about vibrations,
voices. Yep.
So that's why you can trust them even if they're remote.
Very much so.
Because for a while I was like, I don't trust that.
Well, it's crazy. You can't go
They can't feel me through a computer screen. But then it was like, it made more sense when you talked about your voice and the vibrations.
We all have one tone. No one has the same tone of voice. It's all unique to you.
We're all unique to us. And so our loved ones know when we're tapping in.
Yep.
Because we're each unique.
Yes.
I bet you could just do stories on top of stories about what's come through.
Yes, I could do that. That'd be fun.
Which is why you totally know so much about what's going on the other side.
Oh, it's great.
Because they tell you.
They do. There's no secrets over there.
There's no secrets. And they just
love sharing it.
I love sharing it. So
you're like, okay, they're really right here.
I think that's going to be me when I get to the other side. I'm going to be like knocking on everyone's doors. Like, would you let me in? Right? I got some things to say still. I'm a talker. Come on. Even after I die, I'm going to come through. I'm going to talk. Well, thank you for coming. This has been so fun.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
You'll be back again, I'm sure.
I can't wait.
I know. Thanks. Bye.
Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now, I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.